everybody, to Illuminate, Navigate, Radiate, a journey of emotional resilience. I'm your host, Brandon. We have Anabel joining us again on this lovely Friday morning. So, Anabel, how you doing?
I'm okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And of course, I've enjoyed our last few weeks together and filming these episodes. It's got me up earlier in my daily routine, so I could appreciate that at least. But again, it's been a pleasure to have you on and doing this with you. So thank you again for joining us.
No, thank you so much.
Yeah, and just I think the last few weeks we've kind of talked about some of the different things that affect our body image, right? Some of the things that we may be comparing ourselves to, some of those words we hear in different situations, and just how that starts to play a role in the way we view ourselves, right? When we're holding ourselves to those unrealistic expectations, those Photoshop pictures or those altered or filtered pictures, it's going to be tough. And then when we have people we love or respect pointing out some insecurities to us, that can create some negative body image as well. So what we wanted to do in this episode was kind of talk about how that negative body image then can affect our daily lives, right? I mean, body image plays such a big role in how we carry ourselves, how we talk, who we talk to, the way we treat ourselves as we go through our lives, on a daily basis. And so, we just wanted to talk a little bit in this episode about what that looked like or what that can look like when we don't have a great view of ourselves physically in our body image. And I think it does impact our daily routines in a big way, or it impacts what risk we may take in our life in a big way. Just looking throughout my life, and when I didn't feel confident in who I was, right? When I had low self-confidence or low self-esteem, I definitely tended to put myself in negative situations more, around more negative people. I didn't want to take a chance in putting myself out there because I didn't want to, I just didn't think I was good enough. I didn't feel like I looked good enough or I felt good enough to try those things. Um, so it impacted me a lot, and I see the difference between then and where I'm at now, where I'm comfortable with who I am. I'm comfortable with the way I look, and it may not be that perfect filtered Instagram photo. That might not be what I look like, but I'm still very happy with where I'm at in my life. So how do you think the way we view ourselves and the way we feel about ourselves in that sense can impact our daily lives, our daily routines?
Well, it affects, I think, every single aspect of our life, no matter how you like. Even if you don't realize it, it still affects. Because at the end of the day, when you have like lack of self confidence, lack of self esteem, you're gonna be constantly stuck in a toxic cycle where you choose the when your mindset is coming from a negative mindset, you're going to continue choosing these like negative things, and this is how like either addiction or eating disorders arise. For example, like when you keep thinking about like food, for example, instead of thinking food is your fuel, some girls or even men, I used to think this when I was growing up, that food is like evil. That's the enemy. You can't eat too much. So I used to be in this like I mentioned earlier, this eating cycle where I would starve myself because I thought food was evil, and then at the end of the day, I would like just binge and eat everything that was in the kitchen, and I was just constantly stuck in this cycle of just toxicity, and I knew that it was bad, but because I was in that mindset that food is evil, I can't eat this much, or I can't eat this, I can't eat that, I can't eat what my mom is eating, I can't eat what my family is eating. It was a very like negative space, and from that's when I started like wearing clothes to go swimming and just missing out on opportunities such as to go like to the beach where you have to be more naked, for example, or just when basically what I'm trying to get at is when you have lack of self-esteem and lack of self-confidence, that turns into like self-security, and that turns into insecurities, and then it's just constantly the same cycle that you're in. So that's why this being stuck in this negative mindset and thinking about whatever you're like scared about in a negative mindset, it's not going to help. Like you're going to constantly be in this cycle, if that makes
Yeah, no, yeah, no, I think you explained that really well with just, I mean, those are, explaining our like the nutritional aspect of the way we may treat ourselves when we don't feel good about it. Um, when we don't feel good about the way we look or the way we view ourselves, we're probably not going to make the best choices when it comes to what we eat, right? It's going to be like, oh, I need that food or that quick something that I'm going to eat that's going to make me feel good, right? To give me that dopamine effect, give me that, I'm going to eat a bunch of Chips Ahoy right now just because, I feel bad. And then that just plays a role because if all I eat all day is junk, for one, that's not going to make me feel good.
yeah,
And two, like you just said, then I get stuck in that cycle. Oh, I'm sad, so I'm gonna eat this. Oh, I just ate that, so I'm sad, and now I'm gonna eat some more. And you just turn into that cycle of constantly doing things that reaffirm those negative beliefs.
yeah,
And then the other aspect, the social thing you mentioned, man, I think that's such a big one to me is because we're human, and I feel like a big part of that human experience is connection and interacting with other people. And so when we're in our own minds so much that we're going to isolate, right? We're going to eliminate these social interactions that we get to have in life because we don't feel like we're at a high enough standard of beauty to just be in public. When you think about it that way, it's really heartbreaking to feel like we can't even be out in public and enjoy public because we're too self-conscious about the way we look.
yeah,
And when we start isolating and eliminating those things out of our lives, then we lose some of those positive people. We lose such a big part of our human experience of being in relationships or creating relationships. And so I think it's really important to kind of start, I know we've talked about this a little bit in each episode, but just reframing the way we're talking and viewing ourselves because we don't want to eliminate people in daily routines just because it's like, oh, I can't get on this video call today because I don't like a certain aspect of my face, or I'm doing this at 5 in the morning, so I got some bags under my eyes while I record.
mm,
And or I don't want to go out and be around, my family because I just don't feel good today, and that's all stems from the way I look. And I think that reframing of how we talk to ourselves and to build up some self confidence and build up some self esteem. Um, it shows that it's so important because if we don't do it, if we don't have that conscious effort to try, we're going to end up alone, isolating, and feeling very, very poorly about ourselves.
yeah. And it's so sad when you think about it when it comes to the point where you're so you're so like insecure and you're just stuck in this like toxic negative cycle to the point where you don't even want to leave the house and stuff. And it's come to the point where it can get to the point where even the people that fully support you and love you and are always there and that you used to feel comfortable around, you don't feel comfortable around them anymore. And not because they did something, but just because of your own like lack of self-security. And it's sad to think that, when especially when you're at a younger age, when kids go through this, it's, you're supposed to be enjoying life, you're supposed to be out like playing in the sand or whatever, I don't know. And you're thinking about, oh, I can't go today see my friend because what you said, like, oh, I can't enter this video call because I have uh, what are they called, under eye
The
bag.
bags.
Yeah,
Yeah,
under eye bag. And
it's early, folks. It's early right now.
but yeah, it's just sad to think that is like the reality, how our mind likes to play these tricks on our own selves. And like our brain loves like negativity. Like our brain really loves to be to feel bad for ourselves, you know, that we're not enough and whatever, whatever. And that I think one of the biggest things for me that I can relate to what happened, like social aspect of this, is for a girl at a young age, relationship wise, that majorly affected how what I tolerated, what I
Mm.
tolerated from like my exes, and even career wise now after graduating, not related to the relationships, but even after graduating, I struggled just because I didn't struggled with like jobs, and I felt like I wasn't good enough because it stems from the lack of self-esteem because I feel like I don't look good enough. And that like it basically, what I'm trying to explain is that it can grow into something much worse and has nothing to do with your body or food. It can grow into relationship aspect. It can grow into career aspect, like what happened with me. For 3 years, I struggled because, first of all, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, and second of all, not. I felt like I wasn't smart because I didn't have the best grades in uni compared to my friends. I felt like I didn't deserve to have the degree that I had just because I didn't enjoy it. And so after graduating, when everybody was getting jobs and everything, I just felt like I didn't deserve it. I felt like I didn't deserve it, and it was sad to think because why? You know, like I had the grades, I have the certificate, I finished the degree, I did everything you had to do, and like now looking back, I'm a smart girl. You know, I'm not like educationally super smart, but like I know that's my dog, but I know where what I'm capable of, basically. I know what I'm capable of. And I stopped myself from being able to do the things that I wanted to do back then for 3 years just because I thought I don't deserve this. And it's sad to think that at the age of what, 21, you know, you haven't even lived your life yet. You haven't actually even experienced work yet, and you're already thinking that you're not good enough for a graduate entry job.
Yeah, and I really like what you said there, that when you started talking about that aspect of it, it's, you know, I think sometimes people can look at like, oh, well, how does your body image affect those different things? And it's because it can start there,
Yeah.
right? It can start there, especially at that younger age where we're not as confident in who we are because we're still growing, we're still figuring out life, we're still, trying to understand our values and our beliefs and all those things that play into that. And the one thing that we're constantly seeing is, well, if you're just attractive, you'll be successful,
Yeah.
because that message is everywhere. And so when we see that so much growing up, and we think that plays such a pivotal role in our happiness or our success throughout life, then we're going to limit those opportunities for ourselves. We're going to say, well, I can't, do this because I don't feel good enough about myself. And then that's going to translate to maybe not even trying as hard, right? And while you're in college, or, you being so self-conscious or having anxiety that you can't focus on what you're doing. And so maybe you don't do as well. And then same thing with the job is you might not take opportunities or apply for just certain jobs or ask for promotion if you're doing your work and you're excelling at it, or you've been there for 20 years or whatever it may be. But a lot of that stems from that lack of self-confidence, that lack of self-esteem. And again, like just talking about some of the things that affect it, when there's so much of it around us that affects, and that just keeps that at the forefront of our mind about the physical appearance of us, and how it's everything when it's really just such a small aspect of who we are. There's so much more to us than just the way we look. And it's hard to get past that sometimes. It's hard to be able to get past that and take a new opportunity or take a risk, because then you don't want to get rejected, right? you don't feel like, even going back to the relationship things, you put up with stuff because you're like, well, I can't do better, or I don't deserve better, or I deserve the way I'm being treated right now. So I'm going to put up with it. I'm going to put up with the emotional abuse or the physical abuse or the mental abuse. And I'm just going to take it because I don't feel like I could get anybody else. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not beautiful enough to go get somebody else. Or I'm not going to leave this negative friend group because we're doing, like, just thinking about drugs. I'm not going to leave my drug friends right now because I don't feel like I deserve good people around me. I don't feel like I deserve um, to be in a happier spot. So I'm just going to stay here and continue to get high and continue to do drugs and kill myself slowly, because I'm not happy with who I am and the way I look, and I have no self confidence, no self esteem, and body image just plays such a role in connecting all those things, right? It's something that, even if we're in a good spot, if we can't look in the mirror and be happy or okay with who we see, um, right away we're already going to create that self doubt, right? Even mentally, if we're doing well, if we look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I hate myself, I don't like the way I look, or I'm only seeing these insecurities right now, um, then that right there is enough to create enough self doubt in the day to make negative decisions, or to make bad choices, or just not to take that risk that could lead us to real happiness. Go ask that person out you've been wanting to ask out for a long time. Go apply for that job that you really love and that you really want. Start, just start going to the gym, or start, eating the things you're going to feel good eating, because it's just like, well, I already feel bad about myself, so I need those quick dopamine fixes, or I don't want to get rejected, so I'm not going to go take that chance. And it's so intricate, right, of how it plays such a little role, or such a big role, in all these little things in life. And I think you said it in the beginning, is we don't even realize that. We don't even realize how that, if we look in the mirror and we're not happy with who we see, whether it's physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, whatever, each one of those, if we're not happy or good with each one of those, right away, that's going to start putting in that higher percentage of making a bad choice, or doing something that's degrading ourselves throughout the day.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, you said it so much better than what I said. No, but it's sad to see how, like, the world that we live in now, we always focus on the negativity. Like, we have one negative aspect and then we have 20 positive, but we only dwell on the negatives. And, like, going back to, like, what you just said, about how we don't even realize, and it's it happens like this. Like, it can literally, I know we mentioned this in the previous episodes, but you can, like, just see one image and that will be stuck in your head for the rest of your life, and you wouldn't even, like, you will keep thinking about it, but you wouldn't even realize that you're looking at it from a negative perspective, and this is how it's sad. It's sad to, like, because obviously not everybody struggles with this, but, like, most people, especially I think women growing up on the younger generation, and not just women, but I think men, the younger generation, it's sad to see that instead of focusing on, like, their skills and what they can offer, they just focus on how you look. And this is how it starts when you're unhappy with, I don't know, maybe your abdomen, you have extra fat, you're unhappy with your abdomen, and this one little thing can turn into such a negative part of your life that controls literally every single aspect of your life, and you wouldn't even realize. So I think, like, just being able to realize these negative cues, and when you start actually obsessing, not just trying to fix something, because you want this for yourself, because you care about your health, or because you care about progressing in this career or with this relationship, whatever. It comes from the spot of, oh, I need to change this. Like, when you just need to start being able to, like, differentiate, how you look at these things.
Yeah, no, and without even realizing it, I think it's even a bigger struggle than people realize in their own lives, right? Like I think everybody probably to some extent deals with it internally, whether we want to admit that, right? Whether we want to say like, oh, I have these insecurities or I've dealt with these insecurities before. I think that can vary pretty greatly, especially between men and women. I think, you know, it's probably not talked about in that circle so much because it's almost not acceptable for for guys to be in a group and like, oh man, I don't, I'm feeling this way about myself, or I don't like my nose, or I don't like my my ears, or whatever it may be. And but I think it to some extent, because our society is so hell bent on the way we look and is so much about it. I think there's probably a little bit everybody. But like you said, there's I think again it's a creation of where we're at in today's world, but there's 20 positive things and one negative. And so literally 100% of our attention is going to go to that one negative thing. And not only does that play a role in like you see it in any type of news aspect. You see it, in job settings. I know I've seen that in different job settings I've been in where things are going really well, but the only thing that's focused on is this one small negative thing, even though everything else is going really well. And when it's done such to a big extent, then of course we're going to do that to ourselves. Of course we're going to focus on maybe that little bit extra we got in our stomach region, and not just how amazing of a parent you are, or how good of an employee or employer you are, or how well you treat just that random person walking down the street, or that person struggling. And that, I think, show like that those are the bigger things in life than just if I got a little extra jiggling, when at that moment in my life. And I think it's really important to just be aware of that and find those different ways to continue to accept yourself, right? Whether that's reframing, I think that's a big part of it. It's just reframing the way we talk about ourselves. I think it's part of, doing, if we're aware of it, then we can do the things that are going to add to that healthier lifestyle, or add to us feeling better and accepting ourselves more. Putting, what type of people we surround ourselves with, what type of media we consume,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. And when we're aware of that stuff, then we can actually work on that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I think just changing, and it all starts from in your head. It's all in your head. Just it's even if you change one thing, like I'm gonna say is that, because I went through this, right? I went through this where I thought I was too fat, I need to lose weight, and I lost like an unhealthy amount. I think it was baby fat, but whatever, it doesn't matter how I lost it. I lost
Yeah.
baby fat weight. And I remember, I think I was like the lowest I've ever have been ever since I was maybe like 14. I was the lowest I've ever been, which was like, wow, this is something that I wanted to work towards, and like, oh, I was so happy. And then obviously, because I was still in a negative mindset, it wasn't coming from a place of love. I want to be better for myself. I want to be healthier. But no, it came from the place that I need to look skinnier so a boy can look at me on the beach, or so my friend can be jealous of me. It was like some stupid, like little reasons like that. And I wasn't satisfied. I wasn't satisfied, even though I was super skinny. I was like, no, this, what next? I felt like I was looking for something next to change. And that's what I mean by this constant cycle. As long as you realize, when you start obsessing over something, that's already a negative mindset. Just being able to differentiate when you want to do something for a good sake, for your own sake, for the best, or something that you want to do for someone else. So
Yeah.
yeah, so like
No, go ahead.
what helps me is like literally writing down, and just writing whatever comes to your head, writing about it. And then from there you will be able to kind of, well, this is what helped me. From there I was able to actually see what was the issue and what caused it, what started this thinking.
Yeah, and honestly, I think you said with that example, I think that's like one of the most powerful things somebody could take from listening to this, or any type of conversation surrounding this is, you talking about losing weight to your, to this idea, right? Because of this idea, this is where I need to be. Once you hit that point of, well, now I'm at this point where people are going to look at me, or people are going to find me more attractive, or I'm going to get more attention, or whatever it may be. Um, then you immediately go looking for that next thing, right? You look for that next thing, and it's, as you talk about that, it's kind of like just that drug. You chase that high, and once you get it, you chase that next high. Like, you don't even sit there and enjoy the high you're getting in that moment. You're already thinking and chasing the next one. And that's where, when you just truly work on yourself, like the other aspects that you mentioned, working on it for healthier, or just a healthier lifestyle, or to fit the lifestyle you want to live, or whatever that may be. When you do it for that, then when you get there, you can enjoy it, right? Then you can say, like, I'm actually happy, because not only did I work on maybe some external things I wanted to work on, or I put in the work to become a little bit healthier, but in that process, I also worked on me, right? I also worked on how I talk to myself. I worked on how I believe about myself. I worked on, how I treat myself. And so now when I get to this goal that I reached, I can enjoy it for a minute. I don't have to reach it and then be like, oh, this isn't good enough. Now I got to go do something else to get that dopamine flow and, take over. So I think that's a really important thing that you said there. Um, which is, it doesn't matter, and you talked about it from the opposite way of just losing weight, and even though you were skinny, or you look skinnier, that didn't make you happier. That didn't solve all your problems in life. And and I think that's just a really, especially when it comes to body image, body positivity, any of those type of things. I think that's one of the biggest things to remember, is that when you're doing it for a reason of, outside attention, or to please, somebody else, once you hit that mark, then you're going to want more attention, or you're going to want to please more people. And so you never truly get to work on yourself and be yourself, no matter where you fall on that scale.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I feel like the biggest takeaways is definitely like just positive mindset, positive, because if you're not gonna approach your own problems with love, like, how do you sorry. Yeah, if you
I've done that twice today.
yeah, if you don't approach your problems, or whatever keeps you up at night, if you don't approach that from a place of positiveness, the place of care, that you don't want to feel like this anymore, not because you care about somebody else's opinion, literally what you said, but just from your own, like, because this is what you really want and this is what's best for you. That is the only way that is actually something's actually gonna long term change for you. How many like times do I see, like, on an Instagram, how many like women that I follow, also fitness influencers, um, most of them all started their own page because they had eating disorders, and they literally talk about the fact that the only thing that helps them to get out of the eating disorders, well, is one is the gym, and second is the positive mindset, the want to be better for your own sake, for your own health. That is the only way that something actually is going to change for you. So basically stop hating on yourself, because I guarantee you that if somebody else, like the people that might, like, if some people, like, for example, if somebody's getting bullied or something, or get picked on for how they look, and that's where like your self-esteem issues come from, they're gonna hate you no matter what, you know, but they don't care about you. As soon as you're out of their vision, they don't care about you. Do you really think they think about you? They don't. So why spend so much time thinking about the things that you get picked on, or the things that, you know, that somebody else mentioned? Like they don't even think about it. Why should you? You need to change, and you need to change your perspective and just think that you are better than this. You deserve better. That's that's it. That, like, I know it's more simpler said than done, but once you get it, because this is what worked for me. Once I understood this simple fact, I was like, who bully who? You know, I didn't. No, but it is true. I mean, like, this is what has helped me and a lot of people that I've spoken to about like self-esteem, and the gym was the biggest part for me. I'm not gonna lie to you, the gym, but with the gym, that's the positive thinking. That's where it came from.
Yeah, no, I think that's, you know, that's what we want to try to do, right? We want to try to be able to just accept ourselves and be happy with who we are and what we look like, instead of, you know, focusing on all these things or opinions that don't really care about us. And you know, I think there's, you know, but kind of just in relation to you, I definitely went through some of those same things, right? Like some of the things I've heard you say, I definitely can relate to. And I think we got to where we're at today with being comfortable with ourselves, with being happy with ourselves in different ways. And I think, you know, that's what we're going to go into in our last episode next week, is just more about, okay, what are some of the things we can do, or some of the things we can try? Because there's, just like there's so many different approaches about telling us how we're not good enough, there's still a whole lot that you can do that will make you feel good about yourself. And I think just a big part, and I know we hit on this in every episode, I think, and a lot of times, but just a reframing in the mindset, right? The reframing the way we speak about ourselves, reframing the words that we use about ourselves, and then changing our mindset and how we approach things and how we feel about things. Those two right there are just two things that can make a huge difference in your life if you truly try to apply them and make that difference. So thank you again, Annabelle, for joining us and hitting on this topic this morning. I always enjoy our conversation and appreciate you taking the time to do it. So thank you again for being here.
No, thank you for having me. It was a pleasure. Always is.
Of course. Yep, and we got one more together, so everybody make sure you come back next week and join us for that final episode where we just talk about more of the things we can do and the actions we can take in our lives. So it's been Illuminate, Navigate, Radiate. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye bye.